This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Pats fall to the Indianapolis Colts on the road. Their first loss on the road this year, dropped to 6-1 on the road. Tough game. I mean, Colts just came out. Pats came out flat. Colts came out fast. They were more physical. They were more ready to play. It looked like the Pats were asleep the entire first half, and it cost them. They played a horrible game, kept shooting themselves in the foot. So many things to go over. Lots of bad, couple of good things to take away, but just overall a tough game. But here's my co-host, Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
I wish I could say it was going good, but it's not. But I'm going to say this, and it might be out of frustration, but I really believe this. If we could play the Colts again tomorrow, I'd play them again. I think that this game, give the credit to the Colts. Jonathan Taylor, phenomenal. Offensive line, like they are a good team. But what the Colts did this game did not scare me. I think that the Patriots play this game again. They don't play as nearly as bad as what they did. They take advantage of opportunities they were given. The Jamie Collins pick, there was another one. J.C. Jackson could have had one. Like, I thought that this was a very good, hard-nosed football game, and they kind of did what we did to Buffalo. They bullied us, and I think it's a way to open up our eyes and say, hey, we're not, the greatest that everyone thought we were, and it's not going to be a cakewalk to the 1 seed. So it sucks to lose, but I feel like this was almost a game that hopefully Bill uses as motivation, the team uses motivation, and you can't really dwell on it because you got Buffalo at your place, and this is a big one all of a sudden. If Buffalo goes out and wins, which they should take care of business this week, you got to take care of business at home. So you got to get over this one, but I felt like there were good things that you could take away, and then there are also things that you can learn from and build on.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of what my thought was the second half. I was like, if we could restart this game right now, like midway through the third quarter, kind of towards the fourth quarter, if we could restart this game right now, I think we win this football game because the entire first half, and then that first drive, that pick by Mac, which we'll get into him a little bit more in a minute, but just overall was just horrible. I posted on my story. It reminded me a lot of that Saints game week 3, where it was just like, okay, mistake after mistake after mistake. You're like, okay, this can't get any worse. And then they block the punt, get a touchdown. Can't get any worse. Throw a red zone interception. It's like, just over and over and over and over again, just shooting yourself in the foot. Penalties at costly times. On the 1 yard line, 3rd and goal, you score a touchdown, then you're right back in the game, and it's a 1-possession game. But instead, you have a false start, and then you don't get it, and then you got to kick a field goal, which is something we might talk about as well. But just overall horrible football game, sloppy. You could tell they were coming off the bye week because they were just sloppy. It looked like they were rusty after 1 week of rest, which you would think they would have done them well, like it did the Colts well. They looked fresh out there. They looked like they were firing on all cylinders, and you just didn't see that from this Patriots team today. Just turnovers. I mean, biggest thing we talked about. If you lose the turnover battle this game, you're going to lose the game. We lost the turnover battle. It's as simple as that. You can't give the Colts that many opportunities. 2 interceptions along with a blocked punt, and we almost lost a couple fumbles as well. It was just a horrible, ugly game. A lot of mistakes, and you can't win football games like that. So they almost came back in the end. One big play by JT busted open the game and kind of crushed the Patriots' hopes. But I mean, that's kind of, I love Hightower, and he's been playing really well. He's been getting better and better this year, but that's a tackle I feel like he's got to make. I know it's JT in the hole, but with the game on the line, you got to try to make that tackle. And he just kind of swung an arm tackle at him and didn't really run at him and try to make the tackle. So you got to try to make that play. Tough loss. Just overall, it's so frustrating because we've seen this team play so well for 7 weeks straight, and it just was a huge letdown game. It was like every mistake that they haven't made the past 7 weeks, they all made in one game. So hopefully it's out of their system. Like you said, hopefully this is something that they can build on, and Belichick can say, okay, this is what we just got smacked in the mouth. This is what we needed. Now let's not let this happen again, and let's move on forward from here. I remember in the Brady, the man in the arena or whatever, Brady said one year, I can't remember which year it was, they got just smacked, I think, by the Steelers in the early 2000s. And they said that was a game that woke us up, and we ended up going and winning the Super Bowl that year. So hopefully that's something for this team that wakes them up and a reality check, say, hey, we can't just come out here sloppy and beat anybody. We're good. And when we play well, we can beat anybody, but we can't win football games when we play like this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and you look at it, like we outgained them 365 yards, 275. Obviously, there were mistakes on Mac's end, but I feel like he came back. Everyone was questioning, can he do it when they're down? Well, I think that you found out your answer. I think that he can do it. Now, I still don't want this team to be down. I don't think this team is designed to have to come back from 14 points like the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Bucks, teams like that can. But I think that we found out now that Mac has it in him. You just got to have a couple more plays. You think of the Jamie Collins interception right there. They were 3 for 4 on third downs. They were 20% or 3 for 4 on fourth down or 3 for 3 on fourth down. Sorry, I'm misspeaking. And they were 20% on third downs. So we hold them to an incredible third down percentage on defense, but then we give up 3 fourth down conversions, and all three of them are on quarterback sneaks. So you think of those, even if you get 1 or 2 of those, and most of them were on their side of the field where you have short field position going in, you flip this game script easily. And the block punt, that's something that we saw early happen too. That's hard to come by. You go down 14-0 like that on a block punt, it's tremendous and tremendously hard to come by. But we run 65 plays, they run 52. I mean, what killed us is they were getting almost 7 yards a carry on first down, and it was setting up second and third and manageables. And that is not a recipe for success for any defense. I don't care how good the Patriots defense is. If you're if it's second and third every time or second and 4 every time, they're going to get a first down, and then they're going to get into third and short, and they're going to feel like they can go forward on fourth down. So the defense consistently wasn't there enough, and the offense struggled in the first half. They came alive, and you saw Mac make some big throws. You saw the run game kind of staggered. They only rushed it 19 times for 81 yards. That's good for 4 yards a carry, which is not bad. You'd like to see it higher, especially with where the Patriots run game has been. But when you see Mac going 26 of 45, you have Mac Jones having to throw the ball 45 times this game. It's not the recipe that Patriots wanted to have. And so that's what you credit to going down early in the game. You have to change up your whole game plan to what they didn't want to do. But that's where you give the Colts a credit where, hey, they jumped on us 14-0. They could pound the rock and, run it on first and second down, no matter how many yards they got, chew off the clock and wear us down physically. So it was everything we talked about in the pregame show. That's what we were worried about. That's what they did. And that's why I feel like if we play the Colts again, I think it's a dang hard test because this is a physical team and they're built just like we are. But it doesn't scare me at the same time because I don't see New England playing any worse than they did today.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to touch on this real quick, and then I'll respond to what you said? What did you think of the call to go with the field goal late in that game instead of going for it on fourth, the touchdown?
So I got to think back on this one. I'm driving home at this point, watching it on my phone.
This was 8 minutes left in the game. We were down by 14. So it 13.
It was 20-7, right? Yes.
Yeah. And then we kicked the field goal on 4th and goal from like the 3-yard line instead of going for it, which would have made it a 6-point game, 1 possession. Instead, it made it a 10-point game, and we needed 2 possessions still to go score.
I don't mind it. I think that Greg Olsen said it perfectly because if you look at how the Patriots manage the game clock, Dante Hightower, Devin McCourty make that tackle in the hole. That's a 2-minute warning. We're at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. And we're getting the ball back with maybe a minute 20 left and no timeouts.
Field goal needed to tie it.
A field goal needed to tie it. So I don't hate it especially with 8 minutes left, where they took it. And then they go down, they get the touchdown with Hunter Henry. Like, I feel like that's the drive right there where it was 20-10, where if it were to get to 4th down, they would have had to have gone for it. Obviously you can't kick a field goal there and then hope for an onside kick or the same thing. So they get I don't mind it personally. If it were to be a 15-point game where, if you kick a field goal, it really doesn't make a difference, then I agree. Because if it's like a 16-point game, you get a touchdown, that makes it 2 possessions. If you kick a field goal, it's still 3 possessions right there. The difference between 1 and 2 possessions in that close of a game really isn't that big of a comeback, because if you don't get it on 4th down, it's almost the game's over. You don't have enough timeouts and enough clock to work with to stop the clock enough times with how they were running the ball effectively. You got to get points on the board. So I don't mind it. I think that there were a couple other times that I would have liked to have seen them go for it on 4th down. And I think that I saw the comment up here right here. Yeah, Maurice said it. They have to trust Mac in 4th down situations. I agree. And I think in some 3rd down situations, there is one where you run a toss to Brandon Bolden. Darius Leonard blows it up in the backfield, and I'd have to go watch the film. But I'm sure it was a blocking miscue. But I would love to see
nobody blocked him.
Yeah. I think that they tried. I saw it briefly. I think they tried to crack him, but Darius Leonard, the all-pro linebacker that he is, runs through the block and makes a great play. But that's the type of thing that I would like to see them trust Mac a little more, especially if you're going to put Brandon Bolden in there. I get that Damian Harris is hurt, but Brandon Bolden on third down, I mean, he made a couple good plays today, but he's not my first choice. So I don't know. I didn't mind them going for the field goal right there. It makes it a 2-possession game. They manage the clock perfectly. They stop them. They get the ball back. They go down and score. And then they honestly had it. Like, I would have been so intrigued to see a 2-minute drill with Mac Jones going down for a field goal to tie the game or a touchdown to win. I would have loved it, but it didn't turn out that way.
It's tough. I don't fully mind it, but I didn't love it at the time. It didn't really make a ton of sense to me because you're down there, you're right there. If you get the touchdown, you're right back in the game. If you don't get the touchdown, the game's over. But if you kick the field goal, your chances of winning the game are still very slim to none. Like, a lot of things got to go right. We would have had to score the touchdown, which we did, and then we would have had to stop Jonathan Taylor. And we saw what ended up happening there. So it was just, I don't know. I didn't love it. If we would have got the touchdown there, then got that touchdown, we would have been up by 1 late in that game. So I kind of wish we would have went for it. But at the same time, if you don't get it, you lose the game. You get it, you have a chance to win the game. But I don't know. It was a little conservative. My only thing that I was frustrated with kind of later in the game was, like, we're down by like 17 points or 13 or whatever it was. We were down by a couple scores at least, and we're still running the football on first and second down. I'm like, what are we doing? We don't have clock to waste. We got a lot of points we got to make up here, and we got to do it fast. So I don't love it, especially the way Max started playing late in the third and early in the fourth quarter. He was playing out of his mind. So I would have liked to see the ball put in his hands a little bit more. It's tough. A couple of receivers go down as well, which I got to touch on that real quick. Those 2 calls that did not get called, N'Keal Harry got absolutely blown up. I mean, that was ridiculous. That clear hit to the head. I mean, he's hobbling all over the place. You see it on the replay. Everybody's talking about it. Belichick calls over the entire officiating crew and says, what the hell was that? I mean, he clearly got rocked in the head and hit before the ball was even there. I mean, it was ridiculous. Does that change the outcome of the game? Probably not. Does it matter? No. You still call the game how it's called. Just because the game looks like it's over doesn't mean you stop calling and stop officiating. Also, Aguilar got knocked out of the game with a hit from Darius Leonard across the middle to the head. I mean, it wasn't clear straight to the head. It was a little bit face mask head area, but head and neck area, defensive player, he catches the ball, hits him straight in the head. I mean, you see Aguilar's body almost go like limp for a second. He just kind of like slouches down into the ground and immediately takes his helmet off and goes off the field to the locker room. He's ruled out. So it's like, I don't know, 2 missed helmet-to-helmet calls, and there were a bunch more throughout the game. I saw Kendrick Bourne tapping his helmet like 4 different times, seeing his receiver get cracked in the head, and they're just not calling it. It's just, I mean, for an officiating crew that throws the second most penalty flags, they didn't call any of that. And I haven't loved the officiating this year. I think it's ridiculous. It's clear helmet to helmet. You can see it. You can hear it. It's clear as day. Everybody watching the TV saw that was a flag, and they just didn't throw it for some reason. And it just doesn't make sense to me. But at that point, you're down late in the game. Nelson Aguilar's out. N'Keal Harry's out. You got Gunner out there as your wide receiver 3 with Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers. It's just, it's tough. So I did like what I saw from N'Keal. He made that big 50-50 ball play. I mean, he seems to make the plays when he gets them. It's just, he just doesn't get targeted much, which I understand why, because he doesn't create a ton of separation. It's not a great play, but I don't know. Worrying about Aguilar looked out on impact. I don't know. I thought both those were clearly helmet-to-helmet contact. Should have been called. Is what it is. It didn't get called. We still lost, but I don't really know how you miss those ones. It seemed pretty clear to me.
Yeah, for me, it's the inconsistency that pisses me off. It's if you're gonna call it for one, like, make the rule consistent, because that play right there that Anderson Sendejo made and the hit, that's been called targeting 9 out of 10 times, if not 10 out of 10 times in the NFL.
Absolutely.
So throw the damn flag. If you don't want that call to be called, don't throw the flag, and I'm fine with it, because I don't think that that's the worst hit we've seen. But they're calling that in every other game. You got to call it in this game too. You don't not call it because it's a big time game or blah, blah, blah. Like,
and it's late in the game. The comeback's on. Yeah,
if that's what you're going to call every game, you call it. If you're not going to call it, I'm fine with that, because Personally, I grew up playing when there were big time hits like that. You could crack back block, you could do that. A lot of us did. 5 years ago, targeting wasn't even a thing. So it's still a new rule for everyone. But I get that why the rule's there for concussion stuff. But if you're not going to call it, don't call it for everyone, because then you won't have any. The problem with us complaining right here is like, we don't have clarity of the rule. Like, what's a targeting, what's not. Now that you don't call that, what is a targeting? If that's not targeting, I don't know what is. So if you're not going to call it, don't call it. Let them play. If you're going to call it in every other game, call the damn freaking penalty. So that's where my frustration is it was not consistent enough today for what it has been in the NFL. And there's been times in the NFL where I'm like, I don't think that's a targeting, but they call it. And then I see this one out there. I'm like, yeah, that's a clear one compared to what you've been calling. So yeah, I agree. The targeting and stuff was absolutely horrendous today. And I don't think it changes the game. And we can, sit here and complain about penalties all we want. But honestly, the false starts, the holdings, the stuff like that, that's on the Patriots.
The Patriots are why they lost the game, but it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. And especially like you're talking about, the emphasis they're putting on player safety and helmet-to-helmet contact, it's clear as day. Like, it's just extremely inconsistent. And Gabe made a great point here. Just wanted to say I'm so disappointed with the officiating on our guys getting destroyed. Don't care about the penalty yards. Saw a near horrific hit on the Chargers tight end just days ago. I don't want to see that happen to any player, period. Regardless of the outcome of the game, I want us to be walking the next day. Nikhil always gets the shit into the stick. The preseason incident, this hit, the Seahawks last season, that's true. And it's because he's a big physical guy and they think he can handle the hit, but it's like, dude, it's helmet to helmet. We just saw, that was horrific to watch. That Chargers tight end the other day in the end zone, clearly knocked out, and his arms shaking when he's on the stretch. Like, we don't want to see stuff like that. That's why they're putting such an emphasis on this in the game. And this game was 2 days ago. Like, these calls, you could clearly see Nikhil was messed up, and you could clearly see Aguilar was messed up. I guarantee they both have concussions and miss some of practice this upcoming week. It's just, you hate to see it. Player safety. You've seen so many incidents of this happen this year. So many guys walking out on stretchers because of hits like this, and you don't punish the players for it. If you don't call that, you don't punish it. How are you going to enforce this and make this disappear from the game? It's just not going to happen. You got to be consistent with it, especially if you're putting this much emphasis on it. I just thought it was ridiculous. Does it change the outcome? Probably not. Patriots are the reason they lost this football game, but it doesn't matter. You got to be consistent with it and call the calls when it's there. Clearly was helmet to helmet contact on both those incidents, and it's just, there was multiple more throughout the game that didn't call. It was just, I really didn't like it.
Yeah. I want to get back, kind of on to our players, and you hit on it. N'Keal Harry shows promise. The 50-50 ball, a couple other things. I thought Jamie Collins played a great game today. We won't do a full good, bad, and the injured. We'll just kind of, touch on a little bit of them and wrap it up here. But I thought Jamie Collins played great. If he makes that pick 6, that's game changing, and then he plays phenomenal. But I thought he comes in, he plays a good game. And then you look at N'Keal Harry, who's consistent, or made a couple good plays, and you hope he can carry it over and stuff like that. So I feel like there were good individual performances, but the Patriots don't operate like that. That's the thing, is you can't have one guy play good and the other 10, or you can't have 5 guys play good and 6 play bad. Like, the Patriots are a team, and every team is a team. But the Patriots are, in the NFL, they're the prime example of, you do your 1/11th, all 11 guys do your job, and we'll be fine. And today there wasn't enough of that. You see that Dante Hightower play, and I get it. Jonathan Taylor, he's a great back. That's a tough tackle in the hole. But what we like to call it is vice tackle. So Jonathan Taylor's running. You got, I'll try to, show with my hands. You got Devin McCourty coming and Dante Hightower. You put it in a vice, a vice funnels down. So both of them on the outside shoulders come in. Dante Hightower jumps outside. I don't know if he didn't know McCourty was there, if he doesn't trust him. He gives him the cutback lane. Like, it's just those little things, and it's unpatriot-like, but it's what happened today. And that's why, again, it leads me back to, I would love to play the Colts again. 1, it was a very entertaining game if we didn't play like shit for 3 quarters. Yeah. And then 2, I think that it's a physical style of football that you're not going to see many other teams play. You're not going to see Buffalo play like that next week. And if they want to, they're going to get their ass kicked again, because we're going to do that. You're not going to see the Chiefs play like that. The Bucks maybe can play similar to it, but they still want to air it out with Brady. The Cowboys really aren't going to do that either. They want to air it out with Dak, with Amari, with CeeDee Lamb. So you don't have too many teams in the NFL that are going to go physical, hard-nosed football like the Patriots and Colts. So I enjoyed the game. It sucks that we had to lose like how we did, but like I said, hopefully Bill and the team use this as motivation, because they are at the highest of highs in the NFL. Like, they were getting talked about like they were going to the Super Bowl, and I still think that that's within the realm of possibilities if they can get their crap together.
Not if they play like this, but if they play like they have been playing, absolutely.
Exactly. So I think that this is a good eye-opening game, and it comes after a bye week where everyone's like, "Oh, Bill's going to have them ready." Well, they weren't. So now you're going to have to go prepare for Buffalo, who wants to come into your place and beat you after what you did to them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a kind of touching on Carson Wentz real quick. We should have had 3 interceptions. I saw there was so many people in my comments today on Instagram talking up Carson Wentz, saying how good he is, this, and that. Um, He had 12 pass attempts for 5 completions, and how many of those could have been interceptions? 4
Yeah.
at least. I mean, he just that's why Carson Wentz is not an elite quarterback in the NFL. That's why I'd rather have Mac Jones than Carson Wentz, is because he just granted Mac had 2 picks today, but I would still take Mac any day over Carson Wentz. He's just careless with the football. He has fumbling issues. He tries to extend plays too much. He just makes poor decisions, risky throws. With all the negatives surrounding the game, JC Jackson still stands out, best DB in the game. Yeah, JC had a good game. I thought he was going to get burnt on that first play, but overall, he knocked the ball out of Pittman's hand multiple times. He's playing out of his mind. He's playing really, really good football, and he's certainly a bright spot on this team. So it certainly wasn't the DB's fault that we lost this football game. The running game, we couldn't really stop the run. Jonathan Taylor's a freak. Their offensive line is really good. It's just tough to see. We saw some stats early in the game of Belichick against top rushers in the NFL, and 8 out of 9 games we've won, and he's held them to under 100 yards, like 4 or 5 of those. So I figured their best weapon is Jonathan Taylor. You take him out of the game, that's what Bill usually does. He takes their best weapon out of the game, and it's just tough to do with a player who's as dominant as JT is right now. He's a beast. So not a ton you can do about it. Later in the game, we really started to put the clamps down a little bit and stop him. And I mean, he was getting 6 to 10 yards a carry early on in that game. We couldn't stop him for less than 4 yards ever. Like, it was ridiculous. But then started putting the clamps on a little bit, slowing him down, but it was just too little too late, and wasn't enough we could do about it. He was too dominant too early. Too many big mistakes, shooting ourselves in the foot like we talked about. The punt blocked, that was a killer. The Mac interception in the red zone, that was a killer.
Yep.
And then even little stuff like the offsides on the field goal for the Colts, and then he misses it, but then he gets to re-kick it and makes it, and that changes the game. That changes it to 17-17 at that last point in the game. You know what I mean? It's huge, all this stuff, and they still almost won the game, but they fell just short, and it's tough. That's what's so tough about it, is if this is about as bad of a game as they could play. And if they played even half of a good game, like a full half of a good game, they would have won. And I think that's pretty clear. So I'm not really scared necessarily to play the Colts again. If we play them, I think we should beat them. I think if we restarted this game right now and played again, I think we'd beat them by 10. Too many big killer uncharacteristic mistakes. Came out flat, didn't come out fast enough, and the Colts came out ready to play.
For sure. I just wanted to touch on this comment now. I still think we make the playoffs 100%. I mean, unless tragedy strikes, I'm going to pull up the playoff picture right here. So obviously with today's loss, Chiefs go into the 1 seed, Titans go 2. We're still the 3 seed. Now, play out a scenario in your head where we lose to the Bills, and all of a sudden, I don't know how the tiebreaker will go, but we're still going to be in the playoffs, win or lose next week. If we do lose somehow and we don't have the tiebreaker, do you know if we have the tiebreaker against the Bills or how that would go?
I think we have the tiebreaker because of conference record. I think we currently have a better conference record, but I don't know if that changes if we lose to them. I don't know if we even it out. We currently only had 1 loss in the conference, and the Bills had 3, I think. So I'm not sure if that evens out now. Since we lost to the Colts, that's 2, and then if we lost to the Bills again, that'd be 3. But either way, if you want to lock up a good seed in the playoffs and a top 4 seed, take care of business. Take care of this game next weekend on Sunday at home. Defend your home field and make sure you get one of those top 4 seeds, because otherwise it could get real sketchy. If you lose to the Bills this week, then we got the Dolphins and the Jaguars as well to finish out the season. Jags is probably an easy win, hopefully. But the Dolphins is going to be a tough game. So there's still 2 more games I think we could lose on this schedule if you don't play a good football game. And I hope they turn it around quick, because it's not going to be easy, and you want one of those top 4 seeds for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not in panic mode, but I just want to, scroll down here. You look at the teams. If we were to drop to 9-6 next week, you look at the Browns, the Bengals, the Broncos, the Steelers, the Raiders, the Dolphins. Obviously, we play the Dolphins again, so we can help there. But we beat the Browns. We beat the Chargers. We've beaten the Titans if somehow the Colts jump the Titans and the Titans fall into a wild card seed. So all these games that we won on this 7-game win streak not only helped our record, but they helped the tiebreakers for the wild card. If we do have to get a wild card, hopefully we can get that 5 or 6 seed. We don't have to get that 7. But what I'm saying is these wins against the Chargers, the Browns, the Titans, possibly the Colts are maybe going to catch them depending on how Tennessee finishes out the year. And I know they don't play each other again, but
they got a cakewalk of the schedule left.
Yeah, and so they might not. But unless tragedy strikes, honestly, I think the only way we don't make the playoffs is if we don't win here on out. And it's going to get very scary if we lose to both Miami and to Buffalo. It will get very scary. But I don't see that happening. I don't see New England losing to Buffalo at home and then going and losing to Miami. Like if they were to lose at Buffalo or lose at home next week, they're going to go into Miami and they're going to know what they have to do and they're going to take care of business. But then you're playing a Miami team who's fighting for a wild card spot too. So it does get very scary. That's why, Cole's been saying it. You got to hit, you got to take care of business, especially on your home field. So I wouldn't get scared, and I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. This is one game. We played 7 straight games of great football, and teams were talking about us for a reason. I don't think that we have to worry, but we saw a little bit of the tendencies come out in that 2-4 start, come back out again today. You just hope that they don't roll over and we can get back on the winning track, and I think Bill will get us back there.
I hope so. It's going to be – the way we played today scared me because – if we play anything like this next week, we're going to get our ass kicked. And it's just simple as that. So if we play how we've been playing, if we would have won this football game, I had all the confidence in the world that we win next week just because I felt like with our running game and our passing, being able to use our passing game as well, I felt like we could put points up on Buffalo a lot easier than we did last time. So now that's a little bit more of a concern, especially we have no idea what Aguilar and Nikhil's status is. They got rocked pretty hard. Damian Harris is not healthy with that hamstring injury. We came out of the bye week less healthy than it felt like we were going to be going into it, and that just stinks. So I'm glad Adrian Phillips played today. That was huge. That's big. I thought he was going to be done for the year. Looked bad early, but I mean, it's tough. You still control your own destiny. You win out. You win the AFC East, and you're secure one of the top 4 seeds. But at this point, 1 seed is out the window. Unless we win out and the Chiefs have a complete disaster along with the Titans, 1 seed's out the window. The bye week is out the window, which sucks. It really does. But if we can lock up the division, this is going to hopefully be a big punch in the mouth to this football team, wake them up a little bit, and hopefully they can take care of business next week and ride the hot hand into the playoffs. That's the hope here. You got to win the division, though. You don't want to be playing in a wild card spot, playing against one of the best teams, one of the top teams early on. Hopefully we can take care of business and do that. Is Duggar good to play next week? Yes, with the ejection. And did you have the audio on when you were watching that? I thought it was just as much on Pittman as it was Duggar. Yes, Duggar kind of ripped his helmet off, but his helmet was already unbuckled and he had just pulled it kind of down.
It was it slid up and he pulled it down. Yeah. It's like it's already loose.
And Pittman was the one going at Duggar, and then Duggar retaliated and responded. So it was, both of them were in the wrong, but I don't know. Just overall, a lot of questionable calls this game, and I didn't love it. Duggar should be good to play next week. It's just you're ejected. You're just out for that game, I believe, right?
Yeah, so he should be good. How I understand it is it's targeting. That's where it gets a little sketchy, but that's only if you get a targeting in the second half. That's what it is for college, at least. I don't know if that's what
I know. They still can fine. They still can fine him and suspend him if they believe it's necessary, but I'd be shocked if they suspend Duggar for that. That's bullshit, in my opinion. That's absolute bullshit.
No.
So I'm not too worried about that, but just, tough game today. The positives is Mac Jones, after playing one of his worst games in the first 2.5 quarters, late third quarter and early fourth, when the comeback needed to start, Mac Jones was money. He played really well. That ball to Hunter Henry in the end zone was perfectly thrown just outside of Darius Leonard's hand. So he was great late in the game, and that's something you like to see from a rookie, but he still is a rookie, and I think we all forget that a little bit. He's a rookie quarterback. He's bound to make his rookie mistakes. He had 2 picks in this game. They weren't great. That throw to Brandon Bolden, he just didn't see him early enough. If he would have thrown it earlier, that's a first down to Brandon Bolden. Also, N'Keal Harry, he missed him in the end zone wide open, but he was a flea flicker. It was congested. He didn't see him. He struggled the first 3.5 quarters, and after that he was money. So that's one thing that is good to see, at least.
Yeah, and that was a great play by Bobby Okereke, diving and catching it.
Yeah, it
So
was.
give him credit. You kind of hit on it. Yeah. How are your chances of that number one seed looking for you after this game? Obviously,
Not
we hit
great.
on it. It's not great. We're gonna need a lot of help, and we're gonna have to win out. And we're gonna need the Chiefs to lose. We're gonna need the Titans to lose, which Titans have a cakewalk of the schedule, and Chiefs are playing very good right now. So the one seed is not looking very good right now.
If the
That
Chiefs
does,
would have, if the Chargers would have not
yeah,
choked this weekend, that would have been huge because now we would still have the 1 seed, or the Titans would have the 1 seed, but they do have
yes,
an easy schedule, but there's games that they could maybe lose. Like they play the Dolphins, the Niners, and the Steelers.
yeah.
3 teams that are kind of hit or miss at some points. I don't think they'll lose to the Steelers, but Dolphins, if they play a good game on defense, just the Chiefs. Let's see. I don't know what the Chiefs schedule is. Let me grab it real quick.
Yeah, I obviously we're gonna need a lot of help now, and you
Oh yeah.
you don't throw the one seed out of the window, because
Steelers,
it's still
Bengals,
possible,
Broncos.
but yeah, and they could lose to one of those teams, but right
Maybe.
now you're thinking they probably maybe need to lose to 2 because you don't want to count on New England winning out, which I hope they do, knock on wood. But you're saying, yeah, you got to do that. So, Willy Wonka says Mac Jones going to come back stronger. I agree. This is kind of
Yeah.
on the comment thoughts on how Mac Jones got affected by this game. I really don't think it's going to affect him because I think that he played bad in the first half. It's how he responded that is encouraging to me. How he responded, how he brought us back in this game. And so that's the thing for me. But this is the reality of being a Patriots fan. For 8 weeks in a row, we heard about how great the Patriots were, and this is the team. They are going to get absolutely torched by national media this week,
I can't
and
wait. I'm not
probably be
watching a single video this week.
and probably be underdogs against the Bills, even though they're at home. And Mac Jones and Bill, everyone's going to get no credit. And everything we did the last 8 weeks to get to 9-5 and the number one seed in the AFC is all of a sudden going to be forgotten about. I already have friends texting me, Pat's hella overrated. I know I shouldn't have trusted him. Like, really? When did you watch a game and you're just looking at 27-17? Because I guarantee you didn't watch every snap of the game and see how bad they played today and how they could have won this game still playing horrible. So don't listen to the media. Obviously, you're going to see stuff. You're going to see probably Patriots fans that are doubting, but don't doubt this team. Don't doubt Bill. If you doubted him at 2-4, look at where we are now. Okay, we're in playoff contention, so don't doubt him. This was a bad game. They'll get over it. The Patriots are still going to make the playoffs. I'm confident in that. They're going to come back against Buffalo. We're going to sweep Buffalo this week. I'm talking this stuff into existence. You got to believe it because with New England, nothing's impossible, and it's a down game and it's a bummer game this week. But New England's going to bounce back. That's how they play. They're going to do it, and we're going to be in front of our home fans. The 12th man, Foxborough has been crazy good this year. We haven't had much success there in the first couple games, but we've turned it on. This is the biggest game in Gillette Stadium in probably 2 years because last year we maybe didn't have a meaningful one and there were no fans in there. And now you got a chance to regain a comfortable lead against the Bills in the AFC East and secure a higher chance of going to the playoffs. So this is a huge game this week. Put this one in the past, learn from it. Obviously don't forget the mistakes because how you learn from your mistakes is you watch them, you correct them, you understand why you made them and how you did them, and then you don't go do it again. So I'm excited to see how this Patriots team's bounce back. And as Bill says, it's on to Buffalo, right? Like I guarantee I haven't heard any of his press conferences yet because we've been on here, but it's on to Buffalo. This game's behind them. It's going to sting, but it's on to Buffalo.
And for those talking about the Patriots being overrated and this and that, first off, if you think about the beginning of the season when we heard that Mac Jones, the rookie quarterback, was going to be starting the entire season. I think we all would have been extremely happy to be in the situation we're in right now. I'm thrilled. It's disappointing because we now see the potential this team has and how well they can play. So it's disappointing losing a game this bad because we know this isn't how they should play. We know they're better than this as a team. They're capable of playing way, way, way better. And that's what's frustrating about it. But if you think about it, think big picture. First year with a rookie quarterback, making it, if you win your division against Buffalo, who was a Super Bowl favorite this year, Buffalo's being talked about as one of the top teams in the AFC, which they still are a top team in the AFC, but they were talking about AFC Championship, Super Bowl, all this stuff. And first year with the rookie quarterback, we have a chance, if we win this weekend, to win the division, can secure a top 4 seed in the playoffs. I would have been thrilled with the wild card this year. So the fact that we're in the situation we're in is great. Second, every AFC team has their flaws. The The Chiefs people are talking about as the most reliable, the best team in the AFC, this and that. The Chiefs in general are overrated as well. Everybody's talking about their back. I agree their offense is solid, but if you look at their defense, I mean, they just allowed 20 to the Chargers. I know they're missing Chris Jones, but before that, they held the Raiders to 9 points, the Broncos to 9, the Cowboys without any of their wide receivers to 9 points, the Raiders again to 14, and then the Jordan Love Packers to 7, and they won 13-7. So it's like, yes, the Chiefs offense is good. The Chargers defense was nowhere around any of their receivers last game, and they just let them run wild. So I just, every team has their flaws. The Chiefs defense looks good on paper numbers wise recently, but they're still not playing that great. They got run all over. Their run defense is still a problem. Even with Chris Jones, I'm still concerned about that. So I don't know. Every team has their problems. No team is perfect. It's the NFL. It's any given Sunday, any given Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever games the games are on, whatever day the games are on at some point. But tough loss. Got to move on to Buffalo. It's a big game next weekend at Gillette. We're going to need it. We're going to need it. If you want to clinch the playoffs, you want to win the AFC East, win this game at home against Buffalo, sweep them this year and move on to Jacksonville. It's a great feeling. If we bounce back from this game with a big win against Buffalo, that's huge. Move to 10-5 on the year going into a game against Jacksonville, hopefully 11-5. And then last game at Miami for a chance to hopefully have a top 2 to 3 spot in the AFC. That'd be huge. So got to take care of business next week.
For sure. Last thing before we go, this is quick. There's still a chance that New England can clinch a playoff spot this week. So obviously we're looking at, this is 3 days ago. No, this is it.
We would have had to win this week.
No, there was a scenario I thought I saw with a loss. Maybe I'm tripping. I thought I saw one with a loss. Sorry for pulling that up and getting your guys' hopes up. I thought there was one with a loss. Maybe I'll have to go back and look, but
we still have a great chance of making the playoffs. It was like before this game, it was like 98%. So yeah. I'm not worried about it. We need a big game from Cam this week, though. Speaking of Cam, if Cam and the Panthers pull off the upset against Buffalo, that's going to be huge. That would be huge for us in the division race. So that'd be nice. I don't think they're going to pull it off. The Bills are favored by like 11, which is crazy, but they're probably going to win by more than that.
All right. Yep. So, I saw it wrong. Colts win over Patriots means no AFC team can clinch playoffs in week 15. So, it's not just the Patriots. There's going to be no team in the AFC that can clinch. That shows you how wide open the playoff race is. And that shows you, obviously with New England's record right now, it's still looking very, very strong. I'm still very confident. So, I just say, big game this week. We're going to have a live stream on Wednesday at probably 9:15 p.m. Eastern time. Tune in, give us questions, give us stuff to talk about. We'll preview the game. We'll do our picks like always. Come in, talk to us like that. It's going to be a big game. We want to hear your guys' thoughts. We want to answer your guys' questions. So put that down. Be ready for that. Look on Cole's Instagram story for the live tweet on there. So Wednesday at 9:15 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Mountain time. Whatever time zone you're in. We're in different time zones, so it's always weird for me to say Eastern time zone because I'm in Mountain time zone. But anyways, thank you guys for coming. That's all I got. So
cool. Yeah, real quick, last thing, I just wanted to read a tweet that just came out from Mac's interview. He said energy was kind of low. Not to get into any details, we just didn't practice well. So they had a poor week of practice, apparently energy low, and you could clearly see that is exactly how the game played out. Energy low early on. They got physically dominated. They came out flat, and they didn't really turn it up until mid third quarter when it was way too late. And that's just, it stinks. But hopefully they see that and they say, okay, we can't have a lackluster practice and think we're going to come in here and win against a good football team. We need to wake up and fucking get ready and get prepared for this next upcoming game because it's not going to be easy. It's the Bills, division opponent. You want it. Who wants it more? The Bills are embarrassed of what just happened to them last week or a couple weeks ago against the Patriots, only throwing the ball 3 times at their place. The amount of noise and criticism they got, we're going to hear all that this week about the Patriots. So hopefully they tune out the noise, but also keep it in the back of their mind. All the people who are doubting them and keeping that 2-4 mindset saying, hey, we got to scratch and claw our way out of this bad game. Lucky we don't get 5 quarters. If we would have had a 5th quarter, we would have won that football game. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I wish we could have seen the overtime because can you imagine the hype that would have came out of this game if Mac went down, let a drive, got the field goal, went to overtime, scored a touchdown? The entire NFL would be crying because they'd be like, oh my God, this is what we've seen for 20 years. Is this really happening again? Like, this is crazy. But it didn't happen, obviously. On to Buffalo, like you said. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I know it's kind of a short one. It wasn't, I mean, as short as I thought it was going to be, but
yeah. Once we get talking, it's easy to lose track of time.
It's hard.
Yeah.
A lot of venting going on this game too. So that was tough. Overtime, we clearly would have won the game. Yeah, no, I agree. It would have been fun to watch, but frustrating game. Turn the page onto the Colts. Onto the Bills. Turn the page from the Colts. Maybe we'll get into a little bit more of the players' performance from this game in the Bills preview. Maybe we'll just touch on a couple final notes. And we'll update you on the health of everybody. But thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for all commenting and asking your questions, venting to us and giving you guys thoughts on the game. But if you guys haven't already, go subscribe. Means a lot. Helps the page out. But until then, we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.